Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Clive Standen, and I'm hanging with Galaxy on Comic Con Radio.
Don't die stupidly. Not going to die. Yes, you are. If I choose.
Always remember to finish off your opponent if you can. We're fine ones for playing dead, pretending to run away. Perhaps the Saxons are the same. But no man ever ran away with his entrails hanging down to his knees or his head cut off. That's just a fact of life. They took your little girl. I need to get her back.
You are a man wired to protect others.
This is your one shot to get her.
He's not gonna stop until it's done.
Her mother needs her back. I know.
How long do you think you can keep running?
I'm not gonna stop until I get the girl back.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy signing in for Comic-Con Radio. Coverage of pop culture events from around the globe. Amazing interviews with celebrities. Daily recaps and reviews of popular television. Movie reviews. Everything Comic-Con and fandom from around the globe. Comic-Con Radio. Get ready to enter our universe. Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy for another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio. Today, we have a very wonderful guest. We think he's one of the coolest on a lot of our favorite shows. We have the amazing Clive Standen on Comic-Con Radio. Clive, what's up? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. Yeah, good to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're excited. We have a lot of questions today. I'm not going to get into that, where were you born and all that stuff. Everybody knows you're a British actor. You were born in Hollywood. So how is Hollywood, UK versus Hollywood, California?
It's very, very different. It's in Northern Ireland. It's very much an army base and a golf course. There's pretty much not a lot else there.
And that's smaller. It, right? Army base and a golf course, and that's it. And you were born on the army base.
I was indeed, yeah.
So from the get-go, you were born in this surrounding to make you into Rollo, the Viking warrior.
Yeah, I suppose I was. I mean, before I had my first proper kind of job to kind of, most kids when they're like 14, 15, the paper round or work in a clothes shop or whatever it is, I ended up working at Sherwood Forest, which is about 18 miles from where I was growing up, and got a job as a stunt guy reenacting the tales of Robin Hood. So I suppose that was probably where I first kind of started getting a little bit of experience in horse riding and jousting and throwing axes around and stuff. I was like 14 years old, so little did I know that I was going to end up going full circle and playing kind of crazy medieval characters. But yeah, so that's when I first got my first taste
of what you've been doing so far. And you've been in a lot of medieval type of TV shows. You were on Robin Hood and Camelot, but the most famous of all is Viking, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But your character Archer in Robin Hood, that's when you were noticed. They said that you were like Errol Flynn. How did it feel? How was that experience for you?
That was fantastic. I remember at the time, I had no idea how big the role was at all. They just said they're looking for kind of Robin Hood's brother, and I kind of I came in for the auditions, and then when I got the role, they told me that if the show was to go on, Robin was going to die, and Archer was going to become the new Robin Hood. I mean, it didn't really go on much after then, but it was kind of an exciting prospect for me because it was the first kind of real lead role that I'd been up for since I came out of drama school. But it was fantastic to be a part of that show. I mean, it was a good one because it's suitable for all the family as well, and it's kind of got lots of swashbuckling, and it's kind of quite light-hearted as opposed to Vikings, which is very serious and historically accurate, and it's very violent. I mean, my kids, for instance, can't watch Vikings, but they can watch Robin Hood. So it was nice to do all that. The character I got to play had a sense of that old-fashioned swashbuckling Errol Flynn character. So I kind of really embraced that and kind of went back and watched a lot of the old films that I used to watch as a kid and kind of like tried to bring a little bit of that Errol Flynn essence into it. So it was nice that it was picked up by some of the critics.
Was Errol Flynn one of your leading men that you looked up to as a kid?
Well, I used to just love the film Captain Blood. I used to love that, and I've always loved pirates and things. And actually, the original Robin Hood film, as much as it's become a little bit dated, it still was one of my memories when I was a kid and used to watch those films with my parents.
But which Robin Hood film is your favorite? Is it the Kevin Costner one?
Well,
is it
to be fair, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves is probably my favorite because it hit me right at that time. It came out in 1990, if I remember rightly, and I was about 14 years old, and that's when I started doing that gig at Sherwood Forest because they realized how big the film had become and they wanted to capitalize on that market. So they created the Tales of Robin Hood at Sherwood Forest, which was like this big all-encapsulating day tour. So, the tourists would be taken around by Herne the Hunter and go through the forest. And then I would play Wolf Little, so I'd jump out of the tree, I'd abseil out of the tree, and I'd come in front of them and I'd be like, the sheriff's not coming. And guy gives them a gallop by, grab me, take me hostage, end up at the major oak, which is the ginormous tree at Sherwood Forest that they used to think that Robin used to sleep in. And then Robin Hood would come and save me, and we'd have a massive kind of skirmish, and then there would be jousting and all sorts of stuff. So that's what I was doing when I was 14, 15, but it all came from Robin Hood Prince of Thieves.
Wow.
I do love that film. I have a soft spot for Alan Rickman's character in that film.
You actually worked in Sherwood Forest, and then you worked on a TV series that's based around Sherwood Forest. How ridiculous is that? Who can say that they live near Sherwood Forest and they worked there during summer and then they went on and worked in TV shows and movies? But was acting something you wanted to do as a kid? Was a little seed flourishing in you?
I don't know. It's different. I used to do a lot of Muay Thai boxing. I was very sporty from the age of 13 till I was 18. I was Thai boxing nearly every day of the week. And when I got to 16, I suppose... Well, there's two answers. I mean, when I got into acting, one was because of a girl. There was a girl I liked at school, and she did drama, and she said to me, I said, because you got to choose one subject, and she said, I do drama, and you don't have to do any homework. So I was like, well, you don't have any homework, and if you're doing the class, I'll take it. So that's why I took the class. And then I had a great teacher who, sometimes it's the teacher that sees the star in the person, not the parent. And she was the one that encouraged me and my parents to just make me do more of it. And she said that she hadn't taught anyone like me for a while. But the other story was my mum got really ill and she decided to go back to university to do a mature degree in drama because she wanted to work with drama therapy with Down syndrome children. So she was in her 40s and she had like 21-year-old guys and girls coming around the house to do their coursework and things. And, when you're 15, 16, you start to see these older kids coming around, they're cool to you and they did drama. And I suppose I kind of had that going on at the same time. So slowly, that dramatic kind of thing was born, and I kind of it was suddenly all around me. So I suppose that's probably what pushed me more in that direction. And I also realised that getting your nose broken is not really much of a career.
Yeah, right.
Carrying on doing Muay Thai boxing.
Getting a nose broken is not as cool as playing roles and you let the stunt people break their nose. So that's something that I think it's better. So a lot of people know you as Rolo and Viking, and that character really made you world famous. You have a huge following. People were sad when you kind of left in season 5. You're like on and off. For me, I'm going to tell you something. I wish Viking can go on another 10 seasons, even though you're not part of the regular Viking area now. You're up in France. You're a king now. But still, your character's amazing. You've been a troublemaker since season 1. And every time you come back, there's something really great going on. Has that character really defined a lot of things in your career? Has it changed how your life is? Has it attracted a lot of people worldwide?
Definitely. I owe so much to Vikings and Michael Hurst, the showrunner. It's always been a wonderful job. And it's only when you're on a job like that, you get used to it. It becomes your everyday life, and it was for most of us for nearly 7 years. It's only when you step away from it you realize how lucky you've been to have a show like that, to have a group of actors and a crew around you that support you so well. And and not every job is like that. You come out and do little jobs, and I've done little jobs here and there between, and you just go, yeah, but this cast hasn't got the same kind of dynamic as we had on Vikings, and you realize how lucky you were. But yeah, it's changed everything. I feel like a lot of these, as you mentioned, the medieval shows I've done, like Camelot and Robin Hood, they'd all kind of been a dress rehearsal for this one, because I always wanted to do a job like that. I mean, for instance, I got offered a role in Spartacus, that Starz show, and I was going to do it at one point, but it went against everything I kind of believed in. It's not historically accurate. It didn't really do it for me. I thought it was quite gratuitous, and it worried me because it was one of the lead roles, and it was a big opportunity, and I'd done so much before that I took a risk and I turned that role down, and then shortly after Vikings came along, and it was almost like it was meant to be, because I mean, Spartacus is a great show and people love it, but for me to be an actor in something and to commit my life to 6 or 7 years or something, I need to wake up every morning and be proud of what I do. And Vikings is not only historically accurate and and gives something to the audience in that respect, it's actually hugely entertaining. The characters are well rounded and it's great. It's a very honest piece. Women are treated fairly and discursively. Everyone knows that's what Vikings is about, and I feel like I just landed the perfect job.
Was there a lot of pressure on your shoulders because you and Travis were like the main leading men of that series for so many years?
I don't think there was any pressure, really. I mean, it was such a well-organized show, and it grew as we grew. So, I mean, you feel like you were kind of coaxed into it. In the very first season, it was just about one group of Vikings going west and discovering England, and there was only one boat. And by the end of the first season, there was a few, but it was the beginning of the Viking Age. And then when we came back for season 2 with the big battles, it was kind of the beginning of the golden age of the Vikings. Only season 3, when we went to Paris, it became this big show with big, hundreds of boats on the water and all that kind of stuff. So I feel that we were kind of coaxed into the show getting bigger and bigger, and the pressure of the show. I mean, it didn't really feel that way. And it's about when you meet a group of people that support you really well. And Travis is a brilliant leading man. He's really good at just kind of like clearing the air and making a comfortable working environment. And we all kind of ended up being like that. I mean, it's part of being an island. We don't have trailers on Vikings. If we do, it's somewhere just to kind of get changed in the morning, and then you get into a minibus and you drive at the top of a mountain or along a field, and you're there all day. So there is no kind of home comforts. There's no kind of special, actor kind of diva-y kind of people around you, because everyone just has to muck in and be part of the team. So if you see equipment that needs pulling up the hill, the actors grab it as well as the crew, and we all go up that hill together and we all bring it down, and no one's allowed to go home until everything's packed away. And that's the only TV show I've ever been on that's like that. Everyone is segregated usually in TV shows. Actors are a part of their own department. All the different, the hair and makeup. Everyone has little different kinds of statuses depending on where they are in the day and how famous they are as an actor. All that kind of BS. And Vikings, we never had any of that. And some of it comes down to Travis, because obviously he's the lead and he didn't need any special treatment. So he just kind of marched off during his day, which enabled us all to kind of muck in. So anyone that came from outside and had a problem with that, it's like, well, our lead actor doesn't need it, so why do you need it? So so that we ended up with no bad apples in our show at all.
So no egos, nothing like that. It was amazingly just perfect, because the lead was cool with just
we were a bunch of morons. I mean, we were eclectic bunch of crazy nutcases, but somehow when you put us all together, it just worked.
Wow, that's cool. I know Viking was a huge hit during Comic-Cons for many years. How was your experience when you went?
Oh, I've been to loads of Comic-Cons now, and do you know what I am? I'm just a big nerd. Because the Vikings has given me that platform, it makes me, I know I'm not, it makes me feel when I go to a Comic-Con and I get so much love from Vikings, it makes me feel like king of the nerds. And it's just for like 10 minutes. And that is said from, the heart of a nerd. I get onto a panel, and I don't understand why other actors are like, oh, I don't like Comic-Cons. Oh, it's just, people are all dressed up from these different superheroes and stuff, and they don't get the references and things. I'm like, this is the most amazing place in the world. This is like Mecca to me. I come on stage and I talk about my show, and there's nothing but love that comes back my way, because everyone in that room likes my show. They're all there for a reason. Whereas I suppose you do other press engagements, and you've got critics in there that are more against your show or for your show, and people throw questions at you because they don't like it or they've got something against it. But in Comic-Cons, everyone is there because they love your show, or they're there for whatever their reason for it they love. And I just can't see how you can't get a buzz off that. It's the most amazing feeling, and I can talk about Vikings all day because it's made my career, and it's something I invested in every day of my life for 7 years. So I love Comic-Cons, and I actually I'm working on a graphic novel right now. So I kind of, for the last 3 years, I've been getting input and stuff from fans and stuff that helps with my graphic novel, which I'm hopefully turning into a TV show myself.
Can you share your top?
A little bit, yeah. It's called American Carnage, And it's set 4 years from now in an America where there's only 17 states remaining after a nuclear war. And at the same time there was a nuclear war, Mexico, Colombia, and Cuba attacked from the south and reclaimed the lands Mexico lost 100 years ago. So, and they built a wall to keep Americans in. And yes, so what that gives us is the original Oregon Trail. So it's kind of a retelling of the Oregon Trail in 4 years from now. But it's not like Mad Max. It's more like the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, about what America could become, just in 4 years of chaos.
That's lovely. I think fans are going to love it a lot.
Well, I'm working with an amazing guy, Barry Levine, who was one of the producers of Oblivion with Tom Cruise, which obviously started as a graphic novel too. So we're just starting to kind of get the artwork finished and everything, and start to pitch it to TV studios and things. So hopefully in a couple of years it'll be on the big screen.
There you go. That's wonderful. A graphic novel. Look at that. You went from Vikings to creating a graphic novel. You are king of the nerds. So that's what we're going to call you from now on, king of the nerds. But that's great that you like the Comic-Con events. You're absolutely right. When you go to places, the critics, they're there to like either be negative or positive. We don't know. But at Comic-Cons, it's all love. They're there to see you. It must be such a great feeling. I know I've seen you at Comic-Cons. That's why I wanted to ask that question. You can tell that you enjoy it. And the fans just dig what you're doing. And Viking is an amazing TV series. But here's the thing. You did wonderful on Viking. Fans are still hoping you're going to come back this season. They don't know. Nobody knows. Only you do. But besides that, from Viking, you went on another TV series called Taken, which is from the trilogy, the movie trilogy with Liam Neeson. You did the TV version of it. Taken is amazing, but let me tell you one thing. Before we talk about Taken, you should be the next James Bond. You have, that look, that feel. I think Taken is the start of that role for you to head towards the James Bond character. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm working on it. I mean, it's not like I'm not aware that they're looking for a new James Bond soon. After Daniel Craig, hands in the reins. I mean, what I always thought when I was on Taken is that I've done a lot of stunts, and I've been throwing my body around since I was young, and I've got an advanced gold certificate in stage combat with distinction, which is exactly what the stunt men have, and Taken was like that perfect platform to kind of to get to grips with all the action and everything. But the difference is, I mean, I pick up all that because I was the British champion in Muay Thai boxing for a while when I was younger. And there's some of these things when I do those action sequences on Taken, we get something like 2 hours to choreograph it and put it on screen because you get 8 days for the whole episode. Whereas something like, a lot of these action films, let alone James Bond, they take probably 2 weeks to choreograph just one little action scene. So there's a part of me thinking, if I was given 2 weeks to do what I can do in 2 hours, wow, then it really would be amazing. So I would love a platform to show what I can do. And Jack Reacher is being cast as well right now, and James Bond. So there's a few out there, but we'll see. I've just got to obviously
you never know
hold
who's
that
listening.
beacon up so they notice me.
Oh, they will. They will. You don't know who's listening to the show, and they're all in our nerd universe. I think you would be a perfect James Bond. I hope it becomes that and if it does, you got to come back on the show and say Galaxy. Because there's a little joke between some of my guests. Sometimes we say things, and then some crazy stuff happens with their careers, and Clive should be the next James Bond. I feel that way. I know tons of people feel that way, but that TV series Taken, what did that do for you? Because it just took you to a whole different genre and showed so many different things about you.
Well, I took the role because I really was getting a bit fed up of watching action shows and things where I call it all, sound and fury signify nothing, to quote Shakespeare. I don't care about a character unless I see him go through the ringer, unless I see his heart. And there's a lot of these action films where characters are just running up walls, doing double backflips, taking on 20 people with a bullet wound in their stomach. And it's unbelievable to me. I feel like the audiences are clever now, and their imagination has to believe everything they see. So the first moment a character does something that seems out of sync with reality, then you've lost them. So all these kind of action films some of the guys in them are fantastic. Jason Statham is brilliant at what he does. Those kind of action films, they suit a certain genre where you're not expecting him to be a real human being. It's almost superhuman, and the kind of action that he does. But there's something about the film Taken with Liam Neeson where he's just a dad, and he has this particular set of skills. He's trained within an inch of his life, but what keeps him going is the fact that no matter how many men are in front of him with guns and attacking him, his daughter is locked behind that door, and he will do whatever it takes to get her back. So you literally have to put a bullet in his head to keep him down. And seeing that raw animalistic quality in a father, and I'm a father, and you don't have to be a father to feel that, but if someone took your kids, you would just, you would fight tooth and nail to get them back. And there's something real about that. And he doesn't run up walls and do backflips and things. He gets hurt. He falls. He gets smashed through windows. And he keeps getting back up. And you believe him. You want to jump in the screen and grab him and go, get back up there and get your girl. And that's why I took it. And I wanted to play a character that was real and a little bit fallible. So that's what I tried to bring into the TV show. And it's nice to have someone who's a little bit nerdy that can hold a gun and always have to be, Mr. Perfect. I mean, it's what we go back to Superman. It's Clark Kent we all fell in love with, not Superman. So I tried to make this guy a little bit more normal, real. And I think that's what drew me to it. It always has to be the heart of a character.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. You absolutely said that. It's a reality thing because maybe in real life you could do those same things. We all can fall and jump through things. And when there's like your child there and you have to fight for your life to get to them, you will do some things and not do a backflip on a wall. You're absolutely right. If there was a movie right now, a movie character, superhero that you can be, other than James Bond, because I think of him as a superhero character too, who would you want to be?
Oh, a lot of the good ones have been taken though, so I don't want to say something that some other actors got because it implies I think I could do a better job than them.
It's okay. It's just
dear. Well, do you know what? The one character I've always loved, and this is because this has been on my mind for a while, I love Wolverine. But a few people have come up to me and said, well, you'd make a good Wolverine, and I think I would. But I don't think I'd be as good as Hugh Jackman. I think what he did with that role is fantastic, and I think to remake it already would be insulting to him, and there's nothing new you can give to the Wolverine now. I mean, if you were waiting 5 or 6 years, and then you started to redo the franchise or something, then you could choose another actor to play Wolverine. But the problem sometimes with these characters is we have like a good run of great films. Like we had a great run of Wolverine films with this incredible actor called Hugh Jackman who just nailed it. And we have to accept that that's ended now. We can't just kind of go, well, who's the next one? Who's the next one? Because ultimately it won't be as good. It will be a letdown. You have to enjoy things, let them settle, and then revisit them down the line. Just like, when you're a kid, you have your favorite thing, you enjoy it, and that's it came to its natural conclusion, and now we move on. So that's how I feel about Wolverine. I feel like there's, if someone was to start making that film now, I'd be devastated. I'd be like, well, what's this? It's going a bomb. And the other one that just popped into my head, actually, which is not really a superhero, is the one film that I would like to see remade, and I'd like to be in it just so I can make sure that they don't F it up, would be The Highlander. And I'd love to play Kurgan.
Yeah.
I'd love to play Kurgan in The Highlander. Not The Highlander, but I'd love to play Kurgan. That was the role I grew up with. And now they're all coming into my head now as well. Snake Plissken in Escape from New York. If they were to redo that, I'd be like, give it to me. I'll make sure I don't mess it up. I couldn't bear to see another actor who wasn't as passionate about the film as me, and they just took it for a paycheck, and then you just like, oh yeah, one chance from New York, and they messed it up.
You would play Kurgan really well. Highlander is a perfect role. I'm telling you, man, that's a perfect role.
Fade away.
Oh boy, look at that. So there you go. But you know what? You're absolutely right about Wolverine. But it is sad though, because look at Iron Man, what happened to an Endgame and all these characters, and people just want to keep these things going on. But you're right. It's too fresh, Wolverine. But if it did happen, you would be great. And Highlander, that was the bomb show in the 90s, and I think you would be good as a movie or a TV series. Which one?
Oh no, it has to be a movie. We have to go big. Go big or go home.
That's well, if the Russo brothers are listening, they should, make that movie again. So they should, not again, but they should make that movie and consider you. So those are the characters. Now here's another question I ask all the time. Do you believe in ghosts?
Do I believe in ghosts? I believe in them enough to be scared to say I don't. If that makes any sense.
Wow.
I don't feel I do, but I believe in something. I believe that there's a presence. I believe that people, when they die, they're still around somewhere. I believe in guardian angels, which was, I don't know how I feel about that, but I've never had an experience where I've seen any. No. But yeah, the best way I can say it is I believe in it enough to not be confident enough to say I don't believe in ghosts, because I feel like something was going to happen to me.
Yeah, a lot of people, they give different answers, but that's a cool, unique answer. I've never heard that one. And, the reason why I ask this is because fans always ask us, hey, can you ask this? Can you ask that? So with that said, have you ever had a paranormal experience?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't think I really have. No, but I've heard enough from people I don't think are crazy to believe them. Yeah, I actually just the other day, I have a close friend I'm working with on the TV show I'm on now was telling me about an experience that she had, and I trust her implicitly and don't think she's a loony. And the way she told the story, there was something in her eyes that she generally believed that it was real, so I have to believe it too.
Well, you worked in Sherwood Forest, so if there's nothing there, then it must be okay, because that forest.
Well, there you go.
Haunted.
That's the whole point, isn't it? If I walk around somewhere, I remember being a kid when I walk around like somewhere like Sherwood Forest or just somewhere at night time where it's pitch black. I'm not thinking someone's going to jump out with an axe and kill me. I'm not thinking someone's going to, some bad guy's going to shoot me in the middle of the forest just because it's dark. I'm not afraid of the dark, but I would used to think about what's around at nighttime, the presence of things and, the sounds of everything. So, maybe there is a part of me that does believe in supernatural.
To hear that Clive Standen might fear those things. Anyways, let's go beyond that. You're currently on a new TV project. You were on Vikings, then Taken, all these tough roles, and now you've landed to Council of Dads, a new TV series on NBC. What's going on with that?
It's very different than anything I've ever done. That's true. It's fantastic. It's an emotional drama, and it's nice to be a part of. I chose to be a part of this because right now there is quite a lot going on in the world which is full of hate, and we're living in these times where I think we need to be reminded about family a little bit more and about not being afraid to ask for help and having, that we've all got people around us, and it's better to share your grief and your problems rather than keep it to yourself. And there's an epidemic going on right now with people that feel that they can't share their anxiety and their depression and their grief. And that was all going around when I read this script. And it's a family drama. It's about a man who is diagnosed with cancer. He has 5 children, and on the event that he dies, he looks into the best male figures that he has grown up with through his life to try and assemble like a council of dads that can, in the event of his death, could support his children and give some of their time up to keep his values and his legacy alive. So as opposed to a godfather, a godparent that we choose and we just go, hey, well, you kind of like be the godparent and just be there like the cool uncle if I ever need you. This is like, I need to choose people in my life that know me, have gone on different events within me and within my life that can instill my values. And in the event that my children haven't got me around and they go, what would Dad do at this moment? What would his advice be? I've assembled enough men around me that could keep my persona alive. So he chooses I play his best friend, who is a Michelin-starred chef, who is kind of pretty arrogant, never really had much of a family himself, and is kind of like the cool uncle, the kind of one that his superpower is he can connect with the kids on their level, so to speak. And then there's Larry, who's in his 60s, and he was the dad's Alcoholics Anonymous sponsor. So he's got a family that doesn't even speak to him anymore because he used to drink a vodka bottle a day, and now he's got a chance of stepping into this man's family and helping out. And then there's Oliver, played by J. August Richards, who you might know from Angel and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and things. He plays the surgeon who is treating his cancer, and he's got 2 adopted children of his own. So yeah, they're the 3 dads, and they come on board and they start trying to kind of like hold this man up and his family together. And it's kind of very moving. It's in the vein of This Is Us. So if you like This Is Us, you'll probably like Council of Dads. It's one of those things that's going to be a bit of a tearjerker at time and move you to act, and hopefully cause some discussions and conversations with families together. And it's got a lot of current issues in it as well, which is it's nice to be a part of something that feels very current, very needed right now.
Oh yeah, it's needed. And you think because you have 3 children of your own, it really affects you and probably were a little more dramatic and put more feelings into it because you're probably thinking of that?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, that's the thing. I realize there's a lot of TV out there that we all love, that are kind of the Watercooler moments we describe. And, we watch a TV show like Vikings or like Game of Thrones or whatever the current one is right now, and we kind of go to work and you talk about it over the Watercooler with your work colleagues next. But there's not many things right now that are serious dramas where you can actually sit with your whole family on the sofa and then discuss it afterwards or the next day, bringing up issues of depression, grief, cancer, transgender, all sorts of things that are going on that can maybe your kids and maybe your family can, what is that? PTSD, things, that you can actually just start a conversation with your kids and your family and things and discuss. And also, when you watch it, realize that you're not alone. That there are, even though it's a TV show, we're displaying things that are kind of like, this is going on right now, and hopefully give you a little bit of advice on how to deal with it. And I don't think there's many things out there right now that are like that. I mean, this is us as doing a very good job of that. But it's nice to have this influx. They may be in the first out of the harbour, but we're really happy to follow them out there into the sea of this kind of genre. And it's just, it's been really good for me to actually do something that I'm proud of that my kids can watch, because a lot of my stuff has adult content, and I think they just think Dad goes to work all day, covers himself in sticky syrup and swings an axe around. That's another story. When I was in Vikings, I had that. I think it was season 2. They did all the artwork of me, and I had my top off, and I was covered in blood, and I was swinging this axe with the big long hair, and they came to set, and I had to kind of show them, because they started kind of saying my dad is a Viking, and people asked them what your dad did for a living. They're like, he's a Viking. I used to get so many weird kind of comments from people. So I took them down to set, and I let them kind of taste the blood, because it tastes the sugar syrup and it's not real. And the stunt guys on Vikings were brilliant with my kids. They actually made these rubber axes for them to hit each other with and go around. So they understood it. Dad isn't really trying to kill people. He's just playing let's pretend. But then these posters came out with me with that blood on me, and I just thought, wow, now they think Dad just turns up, swings an axe, and covers himself in candy all day, like some weird stripper.
Which one might be better, the real thing or the covered in candy? That's a funny analogy.
Yeah, Dad just sprinkles strawberry syrup all over his body.
You strip part-time. The one day they'll watch Vikings and they'll enjoy it, and they'll think back to be like, wow, look what Dad used to do. Viking, I think it's timeless, so they're going to enjoy it anytime.
Yeah. Well, that's my thinking, is I always think, Shakespeare has the complete works of Shakespeare. I like to think eventually when I get to 90, I'll have the complete works of Clive Standen on my, my DVD collection. If we still watch DVDs at all, then it would be on my Apple TV. But I'd like to think my kids can see everything up there and not be disappointed or ashamed of anything that I did. And that's a lot of the times when I take roles, that's what I think about. I sit there going, if I do this film, even if it's for the money, if it's this, do I really want my kids, for instance, doing a horror film where I get my, my body cut in half and my brain spilled out everywhere? So would I be proud of that in 10 years' time? Would my kids go, yeah, that's my dad when he got cut in half and his brain spilled out all over the place? That's what I often think. I always just think, complete works of Clive Standen, and I want to try and get through my whole career and have nothing that my kids are ashamed of up there. So I don't mind in future they watch it and they go, wow, this is what Dad was up to when I was 8 years old. But I don't really want anything there to be, and that's the reasoning behind a lot of my choices in roles.
That's pretty cool that you choose that way, and to think of it that way. I never thought that's the mentality and the mindset that you want to have things. Of course, everyone wants things that they want to have their kids to be proud of them, but that you make choices based on that. That's a really unique and amazing situation. Really.
Well, here you go. Here was the thing when I was in Vikings. It was about season 2. It's when I first started getting offers. And it was alien to me. It's like people were just going, they want you to do this film. You're like, do you have to audition? No, they're going to give you this money and you can do it. And I was like, what's the catch? And sometimes, if it looks too good to be true, it often is. And I remember there was one film I was offered, which for the life of me, I can't remember what it's called. And it probably never actually got made in the end, thank God. But my agent rang and they said, there's this film, they're giving you a straight offer and it's got this director and it all sounded really good. And they were like, and I was like, so when do I meet the director? And they're like, don't have to. No, they're going to offer you quite a lot of money. And you're going to do this. And I was like, okay, well, I'll read the script. And the script was about a Viking army that were losing in battle. And then one of the Vikings got bitten by a wolf and turned into a werewolf Viking and single-handedly started taking down the army. And I was like, this is awful. I mean, actually, the way I just pitched it to you sounded like it could be a pretty cool B-movie. But this was awful. Believe me, the script was terrible. And, the Vikings had horned helmets and things. It was all just, ugh. And I remember thinking, if I'm going to be Rolo and Vikings, any time I get a chance to go back into this genre, it has to be as good as or better than Vikings. There's no backward steps. And I was like, if I do this, it was the first time in my life. I remember that character. I remember Johnny Drama in Entourage. Yeah. He was famous for some Viking thing, and he was like, victory! I went, this. If I take this film, this is who I'm going to become. I'm going to sell out. I'm going to be that guy. It's like, where Viking? He played Rollo once. Now he's just, where Viking? And it's tough. You suddenly have to go, well, someone's offering me money to do this. Might be a little bit of fun. But no, that's not going on the complete works of Clive Standen.
It's not. Well, that would have been crazy. Once you're a star in a certain role, everybody sees you in their movie and TV show as the same character, but then they come up with these weird things like becoming a werewolf and all this and all that. But you're right. You have to be as good, if not better, than the character Rollo or a film like that.
Well, I also want to just spin as many plates as possible. The idea is that once you've done that genre, once you've played that character, the idea is to wipe the slate clean and reinvent another character.
Yes.
Because I'd like to think that, like you said about James Bond, I'd like to think there comes a point where you've done so much that anytime someone goes, oh, he's not right for that, you go, well, hang on, have a look at him in this. He's completely different, transforms himself in every role. It makes it very hard for you to get pigeonholed. Whereas if you keep just going down the same way and playing the same character and becoming lazy, then before you know it, that's what happens to you, and there's no sympathy for you because you should have been a little bit clever in the choices you made.
Absolutely. It's a big chess game, Hollywood. People don't get that. Sometimes you have to put the money aside and look at it for your future. Now, when I see you, I think of Sean Connery. Have you ever thought about Sean Connery or his career?
Well, maybe I have, Miss Moneypenny.
Yeah, I see you, man. I see you as that type of person, and I love Sean Connery, man. And
Who was also in Highlander. There you go.
Yes,
James
there you
Bond,
go.
Highlander, maybe it was meant to be.
It's meant to be, man. You got it. So we're going to get you in Highlander. You're going to be the next James Bond. And, the Council of Dads is going to be a riveting TV show that's going to really help today's times and the situation. So I think that's the plan for the next 5 years. And when Wolverine does come back around, they'll give you that part too. How about that?
There you go. Fantastic.
That would be wonderful, right? If all that happens. It really shows that you understand yourself really well because you get yourself, you know who you are, you make decisions based on your kids and family, and when you're 90 years old, this book is going to be written about you, and it's going to say what you've done. Now, your co-star in Council of Dads, Sarah Wayne Callies, she's from The Walking Dead. Would you ever work in a zombie TV series?
The graphic novel I'm writing is bizarre. The way that it's kind of been described when I've given it to people to read, they're like, it's The Walking Dead without zombies, which is great because I've always been interested in what human beings do when they go back to their baser instincts. So that's what I'm interested in. So it depends on I'm not necessarily interested in the zombies themselves, but what I love about the zombie genre is that exact thing. That's what I love about The Walking Dead, is that when you've lived across the road from someone, for instance, for years and years, but David who lives across the road and you know him by name and you've been inside his house and had a cup of tea with him, but then the lady that lives 5 doors down across the road and you've never seen her, and then your family's running out of food and water, and you've got to think about who do you steal it from? You can't possibly kill Dave who lives across the road because you know his name. But the woman that lives across the road, we've never met her before, so we're just going to go and pillage her house. It's like these things that humans do when they're in front of extreme circumstances. It's always fascinated me what we would do. What would you do in that situation? What choices are you going to be accountable for? So that's what I love about that zombie genre. That's what it forces, just by putting those zombies in play, that's what forces, us to make those choices. So yeah, I mean, that's what I think about the zombie thing. So I wouldn't say no to it, but there is also, if it's not dealt with very well, you can very easily be watching one of those shows and you're really getting into the drama, and then when you hear, oh, here we go, it's going to be another half an hour of zombie bash, and I was really getting interested in what this human being's going to do.
Yeah. Wow, that's a pretty good thought process of, like you said about your neighbor or the person down the road, and I think that's going to be in your book. So your book's going to be really clever, and when it becomes a TV series, it's probably going to be a huge hit, that whole mindset that you put into it right now. So with all these things that's going on, I know Council of Dads is coming out on a major network. Other than that, and of course your graphic novel, what else is going on in your universe?
Well, I'm just starting to get there now. We finished Council of Dads on the 20th of February, so I'm just starting to get some offers and some auditions and things coming through for the next project. So I've got nothing lined up until hopefully we got season 2 of Council of Dads. But I've got a 6-part miniseries I filmed out in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Morocco called Mirage for a French-German company, which was fun to do. That comes out in February in Europe. It hasn't got an American buyer yet. And it's one of these, it's a TV show I've never experienced anything like this, where it's in lots of different languages, German characters speaking in German to each other, French, and then English. And so it's kind of quite a kind of heavy formulated kind of plot with different countries, and it's about an expat community that live within Abu Dhabi, and I play a spy, another spy who is trying to stop the core meltdown of a new energy power plant. to stop all these kind of private security and military personnel trying to kind of conspire to cause a massive meltdown on a giant scale to prove that this new energy is dangerous. So it's a conspiracy drama, a little bit like what was that thing with Tom Hiddleston, the Night Manager. It's a little bit like the Night Manager, the best way to describe it.
So a 6-part series. That's going to come out in Europe. I'm hoping it comes out in the U.S. I think it will. Any conventions you're going to be at that the fans can know? Anything in the near future for that? Any fan meet and greets?
Yeah, I'm trying to get some stuff sorted out now. I know I'm going to Wales later in the year when I finish Council of Dads. I was hoping to go back to Australia because I still haven't done Melbourne out in Australia. But yeah, I love doing Comic-Con. So it's up to the fans. If I'm on Comic-Con radio, it's up to you guys to get onto your Comic-Cons and invite me. Say, I want to see Clive Standen, because if they make the phone call to me and offer me, I very rarely say no unless I've got a massive work commitment on. So if you make the call, I'll be there. Give me the opportunity to come and meet you guys.
There you go. You heard it here first. Get Clive Standen at the next Comic-Con, wherever you are in the world. There's so many Comic-Cons out there now in the whole world. There's like thousands of them. So they would love to have you there. Clive, Vikings, Taken, your books, your things in the future, all these things going on. You're a man of many different traits. You're a stand-up guy. We appreciate you for coming on the show. Is there anything you want to tell the fans before we start heading out?
I don't know. I mean, well, the one bit of gossip I can give you, because that's bizarrely you haven't asked me, which is nice. So I'm going to give you a kind of an exclusive, is that Vikings obviously is ending on season 6. There will be no more Vikings, but Netflix has bought the rights to do a spin-off show called Valhalla, and there's going to be maybe 10 episodes per season to start off with. But yes, Vikings is always seen as almost like a trilogy. We wanted going west and Ragnar and the golden age of the Vikings, and then it became about Ragnar's sons taking over, and they have some amazing adventures which we're seeing played out now, and it's coming to the end. But the third stage was always the downfall of the Vikings and Christianity taking over, and what happened to the culture of the Viking during that time, and up until whereabouts where Leif Erikson discovers America nearly 100 years before Christopher Columbus did. And so there's still quite a big bit of the story to be told, and I think Netflix is going to be taking over the reins of that. So then, so Vikings isn't over. So people have got some stuff to get used to. It's the same team behind Vikings. We've got a different writer, and William the Conqueror hopefully will show up in that, who is the great grandson of Rollo.
It's your great grandson. Well, I didn't want to get into that because I wanted you to bring it up. I know it's still up in the air. I know Netflix is working on it, and it's 100 years, right, after all the Viking stuff that you guys did. But none of you guys are going to be in it, man. So,
Well, yeah. So there you go. Here's your exclusive. I can't tell you much, but I have had phone calls with MGM and Michael Hurst about some kind of presence in this spin-off show. So it depends, how it was scheduled and whether I'm available with Council of Dads and when it's filmed and how the scripts plan out. So it's still a long way off from being anything. So I don't want to get people's, I feel like it's until, even with my position as opposed to the fans' position, until I've signed on the dotted line, until it's actually made, you never know. Anything can happen. So there's no point getting too excited and talking about it too much, because anything can change.
Just got them excited, man. They're jumping up and down in their seats right now. You could be your great-great-great-grandson, but we'll leave that to the imagination of the fans. Valhalla on Netflix, that's going to be amazing. Well, we hope you're in that. And with that said, Clive, you were wonderful. Thank you for coming on the show. It's been amazing to have you. You're a true nerd. You are the king of nerds, and we love everything that you do. And with that said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio with the amazing Clive Standen. He's a lovely guy. Please follow him on social media. That's at Clive Standen. You know how to spell his name. You know who he is. I don't have to spell it out. Just follow him. Send him messages. No crazy naked stuff. Only cool things. And please follow his career. Vote for him. If they ever want to choose a new James Bond, let's do that. Let's do all these amazing things we talked about in the show for Clive. Clive, with that said, brother, thank you so much, and peace.
Peace out, brother.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy signing out from another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio. Tune in for your daily early shows of Comic-Con Radio. Go to comicon-radio.com. Reach us on social media. Instagram @Comic-Con Radio. Comic-Con Radio, taking the world one listener at a time.
Probably the most fun thing I've done all day. It's been I love Comic Cons and I love talking about the jobs. Yeah. Thank you, mate.